So welcome to episode 9 of Wildnote Live. The Wildnote Lives, we dot in between our regular lunch and learns where we have outside guests who come in and uh, talk with us about various things having to do with our industry that we're in. And we found over the years that people also want to get a glimpse into the platform itself, and also for our customers themselves who come into these possibly learn something new that they didn't know about the platform. So we want to welcome you into this. And we have today Kristen Hazard, our fearless CEO, and she's got a poem to start us
I'm going
off
to read a
today.
poem.
Yeah,
Ready?
ready.
I love you, California. You're the greatest state of all. I love you in the winter, summer, spring, and in the fall. I love your fertile valleys, your dear mountains I adore. I love your grand old ocean, and I love her rugged shore.
Such a great poem. Kristen has this poster up in her house. She's a true Californian, as am I. We do love our great state, so it's fun to focus this particular lunch and learn on California. Fifth largest economy in the world, folks. Like a lot of stuff going on here. So thank you again for joining us. All right. So at Wildnote, we really think that we have a great compliance solution for our state. And Kristen built this company specifically really for that need. Maybe you can tell a little bit of the story about that, Kristen, and how Wildnote came to be real quick for people who don't know.
Yeah, so I was working at an environmental consulting firm and running their tech and some operational things. And we bid to do a compliance tracking app for PG&E for the project out in the Carrizo Plains. They were building two substations and reconductoring the lines to accept the energy on this two massive solar farms out there. So that's where I got really learned about California compliance. They were reporting to the CPUC, and we built an app for them to track their compliance. And that's what got me into this business. We lovingly called that app Kit Fox. And so there's a lot of love for Kit Fox here. And we built from there Wildnote, where we basically took what we learned and saw how people loved using the app, and then built a platform because we needed something where folks could build any kind of form and data collection and reporting that they needed based on the project. So that was the beginning of Wildnote, was Kit Fox.
I love that. That's why when you guys log in, you see the little Kit Fox head pop up on the login screen. It's
An
our
homage.
homage to that. That's awesome. So just this year in Wildnote, users have been to 39,811 points in our great state. So been busy this year going around. For those of you who are on the call and our current users, you all have been very busy. I think I skipped a slide. I got to go back one here. Oh, no.
No,
There we
you did.
go.
Yeah.
So we are a mature California compliance solution. We've been around since actually before 2018, but I guess that's a pretty good hard start for us. Over 200,000 surveys submitted. This is just California stats, 500,000 reports, 500,000 photos, 300,000 points. We've got non-California, we have 150 pre-built forms that are really specific to the kind of work that you folks do. 26 different export types that you can get your data out in. So for those of you who are new to Wildnote, there's a lot of capability on this platform that you'll be able to take advantage of and that our current customers are. So we're built really for all phases of the construction timeline. So you can use Wildnote for pre-construction surveys. You can use Wildnote for your during construction monitoring, and then post-construction restoration work. And then also it is the place where your data is stored. So it's retrievable should you need to come back and look something up. We definitely have had customers who have needed to do that over the years, where they've had a question that's come up years later and they've needed to be able to access that and quickly search for it. And they're able to find that when they adopt a database platform like this. In pre-construction, we have things like CRAM, bioassessments, protocol level surveys, wetland delineations, the California DPR suite if you're doing CRM work at all, and site assessment, construction, daily monitoring, stormwater spill, nest monitoring, tailgate and safety, time tracking. We're going to look at these in the platform as we go along here. Post-construction vegetation monitoring, success criteria, restoration, periodic reporting. Kristen and I got to take a trip down to San Diego and join one of our customers on the Otay Reserve down there. They're doing vegetation transect success criteria monitoring right now on a big restoration project that they've put in place. And so it was really great to be able to see the app in action and see how we can make it better for the people who are working in the field. So that was great. Let's see here. Again, these are sort of the suite of different areas that we cover: construction compliance, stormwater, cultural, wetland, ecological assessment, ecological monitoring, and ecological restoration, and of course, build your own. It's interesting to me, over all of these years I don't think I've officially introduced myself. I am the Director of Customer Success. And so I've worked really virtually with probably every single customer that we've had. And I always find it fascinating what our brains can grok in the moment and understand in the moment when you're learning something new, like a platform, and then what you don't even realize is there. And often our customers who come in for a specific need, like the California DPRs for cultural or wetland delineations, don't even realize that they could build their own forms. And then we have people like Amy Rowland on the call right now with Pangea, one of our customers, and they have built out all kinds of forms on this thing that are very specific to their projects. So you've really got the whole range. And of course, with construction compliance, as you guys all know, every project's different. So that's what makes a platform like this really, really a great tool.
I think maybe, Nancy, that if somebody's used to working in a company where the forms are built for them by GIS, the concept of them being able to build forms not come as naturally, right?
That's true. That's a really nice point. And a great thing to keep in mind as well, if that's the workflow that you currently have, this Wildnote's something that augments that process and can really take some of the load off of your GIS staff as well, because it can put into the hands of your project managers the ability to be building and their own forms, making changes, making edits, those kinds of things without having to always go to the GIS people that are on the team. So that's a real positive to the tool. So synergistic that way. So let's go into the actual platform itself. Let me get out of this here. Stand by with me, folks. I'll pull this up over here. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is our extensive California form library. So I did something, I don't even think Kristen knows this, but I went in and did a little reorganization on our form library. And I created a California construction compliance category. So we're going to go there right now. So for those of you who are customers, this is a familiar view for you on the web app. For new folks, this is what you would log into when you come into our web app. This is the list of projects here. I'm just attached to 2 projects right now. And I'm going to go into this California construction compliance project and have a look at the form library. So within Wildnote, of course, there's everything having to do with setting up a project, and then everything having to do with processing your data after it's been collected by your field people. So that's under project data. So right now we're going to go into the form library. And this is within a project, but part of setting up a project is going and grabbing what you need. So this first tab represents the forms that are attached to this particular project right now. I have 4 forms in here. The second tab is everything that you've ever copied from the Wildnote library into your company library, or anything that you've custom built for yourself. The third tab is the Wildnote library itself, which everybody has access to on all projects. If you have certain rights, you have to be a project administrator in order to set a project up. But if you are, then you can come to the Wildnote library. And there's this California construction compliance category, which I really just picked the things that are pertaining to the workflows that I know people are doing in our great state. So you can see here, we have kind of at the top some administrative type forms. So we do have folks that track and that have their field folks use a timesheet within Wildnote and track that. They also often will build in their time in and out within the actual compliance checklist form itself. You can do it either way. We do have the ability, and this is for folks on the call who've been with Wildnote for a while, remember, we do have the ability to help you build back-end calculations. So for example, we have one customer who's working the Sacramento Levee project, and he has time in and out built into his compliance checklist form. He runs out just a weekly export into the Excel that just captures that information. And he's able to sequester just the hours, which is great. We're going to talk about a feature called tagging a little bit later, but that allows him to do that. Reimbursement forms, tailgate meeting forms for your daily tailgate meetings. We've got a lot of really our taxonomy framework, which we'll go into after this actually in greater detail, really supports some great pre-construction survey type things. So wildlife surveys, nest surveys, we go into some of these protocol level surveys. We've got a customer who's working on a desal project, and they're having to do a lot of protocol level surveys. So these have come in really handy for them. So burrowing owl, red-legged frog, desert tortoise. We've got in some U.S. Fish and Wildlife forms that I know get used by our California folks. So Keno checker spot, we need to build out, oh, we did, and it's not in here. We have the crotches bumblebee survey, and I forgot to put it in here. So anybody doing that work throughout the state, that's available as well. So again, already built for you. You're just going to put it, check in the box and copy the form into your project, and you're ready to go. And in addition to that, you can modify it if you need to. So you can get the sense of this, and I'm going kind of slow because I want folks to have a chance to kind of look at this and see like, oh yeah, there's a lot in here. We even have the CNDDB form. So if you have your take permits and you need to be submitting that data to the state, we have the actual CDFW output for this. So you can collect your data on your mobile device, export it right into the CNDDB formatted report, PDF, upload it to their site. So that's available. Of course, construction monitoring report. Now, this is a starter kit, really, right? Because every project's going to be different. So this is something you'd copy in and then modify to suit your needs. Spill reporting, stormwater, construction monitoring. This is specific for tribal monitoring, but of course, this could be used for anything. We did just add this week, for those of you who do wetland delineation work, we added the SDAM, the Stream Flow Duration Assessment Method form. So that's going to be a really nice add. I think with the changes in the federal legislation around 404 reporting and all of that, in California in particular, it sounds like the SDAM is getting used more and more. So that's available for you now. Of course, Arid West and Western Mountains forms for wetland delineations, high water mark for Arid West down here, and then the new rapid ordinary high water mark form that's interim form right now. They have not finalized that yet. So that's really a pretty big suite that could be used, on your project today, just like that.
You get the CRAM in there as well?
CRAM is its own category still. So we do have California Rapid Assessment Method, 3 modules built in there. Thank Lindsay Tunis for that. She was with ICF when she encouraged us to build those out, and she's a trainer for CRAM. Be curious if anybody pipes in on and lets us know if they use CRAM. I don't know if I asked that in a question or not, but I'd be curious to know if people use that. The other thing is your archaeology forms for state agencies are down under the cultural resource management. So we have Arizona, but California DPRs are here. So there's a whole suite. Anything starting with CA is the suite of California DPRs here. So that's the form library right now. And we're constantly adding to this. based on feedback from you. So if you guys today have something that you are like, wow, it'd be so cool if Wildnote built this, send us a question in the chat or in the chat. It's fine. Okay, so that's forms. And the next thing I want to talk about that I think sets us apart and is also is a real value add for folks doing this kind of work is our taxonomy framework, which Kristen has put a lot of work in with her team developing.
Yeah, I like to say the only thing harder than programming is taxonomy.
So true.
Yeah.
So we have within Wildnote a suite of taxonomy lists that you can incorporate into any form that you build. So, and you do that, excuse me, my throat is a little froggy today. You do that by picking our taxonomy question type when you're doing your form building, but this is just a peek into the kinds of lists that you can incorporate into your various forms. For a lot of these lists, we have additional metadata associated with the plants and animals that are here or the insects. And because we're a California company, California gets a lot of love from us. So I would say, and Kristen, I don't know if you agree with this, that we have our additional data associated with these species is probably the most robust in California.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can kind of get a peek into that by going to the listings and custom metadata up here under taxonomy. And you can see through here, we've got California rare plant ranking, California threatened and endangered animals and plants, the Cal IPSI rating, CNDDB, special animals, CNPS rare plant rank. We also have some specific things down in Southern California and the San Diego area as well, down there. And
that shows the ability to create your own metadata for a specific region that you need to report on. So we've got the California stuff already in there, but some of our customers need the metadata associated by the city of San Diego or so forth. And so we can work with you to get that set up.
Yeah, absolutely. In addition to that, here's a hidden feature that some of you who are current customers may not know about, and that's the ability to literally create your own taxonomy list out of our bigger list. So when you go into your company taxonomy list, you have the ability to create a new list. And from there, you begin just typing in the species that you're looking. It can be a combined list. It doesn't have to be plants or animals or whatever. If you have a short list of 20 species that are your target species for that particular project, you can go grab those and have your own custom list. So a nice value add on that. Now, what we've done recently is we've added into each project something that's called the taxonomy gallery. So that's under project data. So as you have a suite of forms in your project, any of those forms that have taxonomy lists in them where your field people are picking plants or animals or whatnot, you have the ability to have a quick peek into all of the taxonomy that's been selected across any form in that project across all time. So we have a little demo project here that shows that, but by going into this taxa gallery, you end up in a view that looks like this. And this is a listing of all plants, listing of all animals that are in your project. I got a note the other day from a fellow who said this saved huge time saver for him. He does wetland delineations. He was able to create a list that needed to be included in his report right from here, because you do have the ability to export right from here. So you can export all of this data very easily. You can also sort this data by clicking on any of the headers here. So if you want to see, what species has been cited the most on your project, just a quick resort of this total count list, you'll see what's happening with that. Kristen, you're keeping an eye on any questions, yeah?
Yep, no questions.
Okay, very good. And feel free, guys, this is meant to be interactive. So if you have questions, want to know if the platform can do something, feel free to chime in and just get those answered.
Mhm.
So that's a little bit about the taxa gallery and what you can do with that. You can also see that these various, anything that's attached via the state and the region that you're in will display here for the extra metadata about the species. And then when you go to the export, and we can pop over there really quick, you're also allowed to select which listings you'd like to see in the export. So if you have just want to create a filtered export for yourself that only includes certain listing information, then you can just cherry pick what that is, and it's a multi-pick list here. So that's how that works. All right. Anything else I'm missing on that, Kristen, that you want to highlight?
No, I just love that so much. I think it's so cool that it attaches all that metadata automatically, or like to say automagically for folks for their reporting. And I'm imagining on a bigger project that could save quite a bit of time and also be more accurate, because you're not manually matching these things together.
Right, exactly. Yes, it seems like it does take a lot of time to create these tables to get
Mhm.
included. You made me think of something else when you just said that. We did just do a big update on,
Oh, yeah.
you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we're up to date on the Jepson changes as of December 2023. They seem to come out every December, the major California plant changes. And then we also, at the time, went ahead and updated our native invasive, and then we worked with the customer to get the various CNDDB animal rankings. Yeah, so as of like this year in our California suite of data, we feel really up to date. And if there's some pretty major listing metadata around California that we're missing, just let us know and let us know where to find that data, and we can add that as well.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so next I want to talk about specifically the construction compliance checklists and give you a peek into what that looks like within Wildnote. So I'm going to share my mobile device.
While you're doing that, Nancy, I just want to give a little tip.
Yeah.
If you're in California, you want to pick the California plant list, not the
Mm,
USDA California list.
yeah.
So there's a California plant and the California wildlife list, and those are the most up to date versus say the USDA is, or even the plants that come out of the Army Corps for the delineations there, they're not as complete as the California plant list.
Yeah, I think that's good. I can show that really quick. Here we go to the Wildnote taxon list.
Yeah, it can be a bit overwhelming. There's so many.
Yeah, there's so many, but California plants is here at the top. That's the one
Yeah.
Kristen's talking about.
Yeah.
So that's going to be your best bet if you're doing that kind of work in California.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's pop over here. So I'm in this California construction compliance project. I want to show you what this looks like on my mobile device. I have an iPad today for display purposes. And just to give you a sense of what your field users would be seeing when they're in the field, we'll go into the construction compliance project. Up here is where you select what form you want to use for your collection, your data collection. And so you can see that I have this daily construction monitoring form is the one that's picked. These are exactly the same things that you were seeing on the web application a minute ago. We have a nest survey, a tailgate meeting form, and a stormwater inspection form as well. So I touched create new survey, and you can see the categories here. This is sort of a everything included, including cultural and paleo sort of, and stormwater all in one. I don't think that that's typically what I see. Usually I see biological monitoring and then these other things sorted out, but just for the purposes of our demo, we can see that. So a few things that are helpful in the compliance process. The first one is up here called survey status. It's a really simple concept, but when we touch into that, we have these various statuses that can be used to track the data lifecycle. Typically, a field user will select draft at the beginning of the day, and once they've reviewed everything and they're ready for their final submission, they'll change that status to submitted. That transfers, if you look behind my iPad here, that transfers to the web. So for project managers who are back in the office having to manage data coming in from a variety of people that are in the field, they can see, where they're at. If something's in draft, don't bother looking at it. Once it's changed to submitted, it's ready for review. Then the folks that are in the office can carry on with these statuses and update these on the web to various statuses such as reviewed or exported or open issues or whatever. We often get the question, can we make our own survey status categories? And the answer to that right now is not right now. So typically companies will just come together and define through SOP their standards of what these different statuses mean to them. So you can, co-opt a status if you need to. One of our customers uses the scheduled status, not for scheduling anything, but just because they've defined it as something that is informing their team members about a particular kind of thing on their various projects. So again, you can define it how you'd like to define it. So that is status. And then this is up here in expand all. So if I touch that, that'll expand all of these subsections. But I'm just going to dip into a couple of them right now. When you're form building, as all of you know, you can use a variety of different question types, multi-check, text lines, date, counters, all kinds of things that you can do to really trick out your forms and make them logical, make them only show what you want them to show, so that your field crew isn't overwhelmed with information that they don't need to see until they need to see it. With the compliance checklists, they're typically built, as you guys know, usually with the measures of the actual project themselves. And you can put in helper text that will show up in these contextual eyes like this. And if you touch that, then you can actually put the entire measure language right into that little helper eye so that your field people can read the actual information that's pertaining to that question. And then any what we would call bad answer, where things are not in compliance, you can set this up to reveal incident section and then collect data regarding the incident itself. And I have one of these filled out, and I'll take you through the whole process of, right through to export as well. Of course, you can take photos. I think this is like the most simple, but also simple thing to use, but also the biggest time saver. And I don't know that people really realize how much time gets sucked up with photo management when you're using a separate device or taking them outside and then creating a photo report after that. And of course, in compliance work, photos are, king or queen, right? So you need to have those photos. So with Wildnote, it's, just like I'm sure many of you are Esri users as well, you're going to be able to capture an image or choose from gallery. So you can do either one of those things. The metadata comes with the photo, so it's going to have the lat long and it's and accuracy and those kinds of things are going to come with the photo too. And again, when you go into the Wildnote form library and copy your form in, you're going to be kind of using this model, but just changing it to meet the needs of the project that you're currently on. And I know one of our customers on the call has what she calls a kitchen sink template. This is a bit like this, where sort of all possible things are in there. And then for every project, things get taken out and changed because they work mostly kind of in the same area. So they'll modify that kitchen sink template for their purposes in that way.
That's nice.
Yeah, so that works well. This particular form has an areas of concern repeater at the bottom, and I
11:30
filled one of these out, just put a few things in there. And this is a nice way to track things that maybe are not like, oh, we're not going to stop work over this, but you just want to keep track of them. You can even export just the areas of concern, and I'm going to show you a variety of ways that you can get that information out to maybe the contractor, right? So they can see exactly what things need to be fixed. So that's another aspect of the compliance checklist process within Wildnote. Checking my notes here, folks. So we do get used for biological compliance, cultural compliance, paleo compliance, the stormwater, the spill, all those different things. You can really use Wildnote, I think, for all of for inspections. We use for a lot of utility inspections, those kinds of things. So really anything that you are doing, if just ask if it's something that Wildnote's been used for, and chances are we'll have something already in the works that we can help you with. One thing I do want to say is that if you don't already know this, if you're a current customer, if you're not taking advantage of the customer support and service that comes with your contract, please contact us if you need help with something. I think the biggest and hardest part sometimes of adopting a platform like this is change management. It's just hard to switch to something new. I mean, we're all confronted with new apps every day. And take advantage of us in helping with that process. If there's something you really love your field crew to be using Wildnote for and you don't have the time to build it, reach out to us and we will help you with that process. And that goes for, of course, new customers as well. That's baked into the pricing for Wildnote. And it's something that we really take seriously in helping our customers.
There was a quick shout out from Katie Wilson that said species list generation is my favorite feature.
Ah, cool. Right on. I'm so happy.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So one of the things that I think we encounter pretty regularly is informing others of when there are issues that come up on a construction site. So I want to talk about the ways within Wildnote you could actually do that. And let's see here. Get rid of this for right now. So one thing you can do is take advantage of our issue tracker, and that ties into a feature that's called two features in Wildnote called tagging and flagging on a particular form. So I'm going to take a little bit of a dive. If our salesperson Reni's watching, she's cringing right now because for those of you who don't know the platform, it might feel a little overwhelming, but also we have a lot of people on who are current customers. So if you don't know about tagging and flagging, I'm going to give you a little peek into that really quick. So this is the back end of our form builder. So this is the form builder itself. And for example, over here on weather, and maybe I need to make this a little bit bigger here. Let's do that. Oops. You can see this little blue tag here and it says weather. So this section's been tagged with a weather tag. If we go down to one of the measures, for example, and click in. So I'm just expanding this. Again, this is not obviously what it looked like on the mobile device because this is the builder. We can see that we have this tag here that says WNCC summary. That stands for Wildnote Construction Compliance Summary. We have a tag that says non-compliance. And these tags are useful in a number of ways. One of which is it can feed into something called the issue tracker. Another thing is that these tags can be used to create filtered reports. So if you needed to just export, for example, areas of concern for your contractor, then you're allowed to do that once you've tagged up whichever questions you want included in that. So when you go to our standard PDF export, you can say, hey, just export areas of concern. So that's a really powerful aspect of Wildnote with the tagging. In addition to that, you can also flag answers. And flagged answers are answers that are answers to questions that you want to highlight for some reason. For example, if there was an answer that was to the negative and you wanted to be alerted to that through the issue tracker, then you would put in a flagged answer. So for example, this question, are all other biological resource measures in compliance? If the answer, a flagged answer would be no to that. So when you enter into the question, you're given the opportunity to put what the flagged answer is. And again, this feeds into various aspects of the platform, and it helps you stay alerted to when these answers are picked. So tagging and flagging for those reasons. So let me show you what that translates to. So I have filled out some data in a stormwater form. Let me show you that real quick on this side. So this is a stormwater inspection form. And this is a pared down one. I don't have all of the different sections in it, but gives you an idea what this looks like. So I filled in just a little bit of information so you can see how this translates. So we got our weather. Let's come down to the actual sediment controls. So effective perimeter controls established and maintained. No answer reveals a deficiency or corrective action. Again, this language is up to you what you want to call these things. And I know it varies. It varies based on projects and those kinds of things. So series of questions within here that your field people would answer, obviously. And then how do you get informed of this? So what are the different ways that you can share this information and you yourself can be informed? So a couple of ways. So the first one is the issue tracker, and I have that up over here. And again, this is based on the flagging and tagging principle. So I tagged and then flagged answers that I wanted to appear in here. And then you pick your tag that you want to see the information that's pertained to, and then you're starting an ending date. So if you're looking at, what happened this week that I need to be alerted to, then you can put in your week of data and then generate a quick table of information on what's happening with those issues. You can export directly from here. It'll go right into an Excel table. So that's one way to share information and see information that's happening within your construction compliance project. Another way is to run a filtered report. And there's a few different report types. Let me just look over at my notes here. Yeah, so there's a few different report types where you can just run an issues report. And I think that's this one here. So this is a filtered report that just has the areas of concern. This was actually coming out of the daily construction monitoring, that little areas of concern section that I was showing earlier. So I went out and did a little quick job walk around my neighborhood, and I found a spill, and I found, there's a spill report. I found, we need to cover the stockpile, and we've got to get in some straw wattles. So I just was able to run a filtered report based on that tag that you could then share with whoever you need to share that with. In addition to that, you could also run this out to a KML export. And the KML export would take you out to Google Earth, and you could just see the photos. So this is that same information. And then the photos pop up with whatever additional information you want. And there's some custom level tagging that you can use even for the KML if that's something that we kind of have a mixture. Or smaller companies, some of them use KML a lot. Most of you, of course, are probably using Esri products, and we have a solution for that as well. So that's running this out to KML. And with your KMLs, you can include points, lines, polygons, photos, or any assortment of those things. So I turned off the points here, but there's dropped points in there as well. All right. And then the next one would be, you could run it if you need to get this into ArcGIS Online, for example, for a customer. You can easily run a GeoJSON export out of Wildnote. And that GeoJSON looks like this, and you can filter by question tag. So same thing, this is that concept of filtering by tag. So if you just want to get your concerns out and you want to publish that to your contractor, it's a very easy way to do that. This is a preview of what the GeoJSON export looks like. Some of this may be gobbledygook to a lot of you. It was to me for a long time, but your people, your GIS people will know just what to do with this. And I just exported this report. It exports as a zip file. I unzipped it, and then I came into ArcGIS Online and selected that as a new item. And this is loading right now, but you'll see that the information populates into the map once we get resolved here. So same points are here, and you can click into that and see the information that's pertaining to this, as well as viewing the photo right from here. So this will take you right out to the photo as well. So those are various ways that you can get your data out and shared with, whoever needs to see it on a compliance project. All right, Kristen, I'm checking my notes, but if there's anything you want to add into that, feel free.
Just that we built what we call a standard compilation export. It will by default just pull everything in from your surveys. And then, like Nancy said, you can filter filter out if you just want to target information. Also, a really nice feature is we allow you to set your own color palette so you can match the branding of your company. And then I don't know if you're going to go into the photo logging
Yep,
at
I'm going
all.
to talk about that. It's a perfect segue.
Okay.
So next
Okay,
up is
great.
reporting. So
Mhm.
simplified reporting. So you can generate your weekly, your monthly reports. Let's look at what folks said. I had a question about that. How often? And it was a multi-select. 73% are reporting daily, 55% of you weekly, 73% monthly, and 55 yearly. So you really need the ability to do all of that from that's what I'm gathering from those
Yeah.
results. So your daily reporting is going to be, your workhorse is going to be our compilation PDF, which is what you see on the screen right now. So I'm going to take a step back into the actual project itself so you can see what happens with that. So we're in our California construction compliance. We're going to go to project data and we're going to come down to export. Now I set this up in advance under project setup where I went in and selected the report types that I wanted to have available to me in this particular project. So, and I've got a lot because obviously we're covering sort of a wide range. So we've got the CRAM reporting, the geospatial Google Earth, which we just looked at on Google Earth, geospatial open source, which was what we looked at, the Esri tool, Photolog Builder, Report Builder, species list, which we've talked about, standard compilation, which I'm going to go into right now, tabular, which is very straightforward. That's an Excel file. And then, of course, we have our agency formatted reporting as well. So we've got the USACE wetland reporting. We've got the ordinary high watermark. For Aired West, we've got all of the California DPRs. Those are agency specific exports that are formatted exactly like the agency has requested and required. So looking at this workhorse one of our standard compilation, when you click into that, you're given the opportunity to provide some level of customization to your report. As Kristen mentioned, you can pick your own color palette. We have sort of a standard display, but there are different things that you can do to create a little more custom feel to the report. We're not attempting to be Word because we're trying to have this be fast. So if you need something with a higher level of perfection, this is probably not going to be the tool for you. But if you need to get your field people home after work and not having them have to transcribe the data and stay another couple of hours to produce a report on a daily basis, then this is definitely the tool that you want. I talked to one of our folks who in the field the other day. I was doing a customer support call with them, and she said, I've used a lot of data collection tools, and this is by far the best one I've ever used, and I've been doing this work for 30 years. So from the field user perspective, I would say in general, field users are pretty happy with this and that they no longer, excuse me, have to do anything really after they hit submit and sync their data. They're done for the day, so that's nice. So one advanced setting this is again where you can filter by various things. So you could filter by the question tags that we talked about before. You could filter by user if you wanted just to collect up data by a user, by a particular location. For example, nesting bird surveys. If you're in nesting bird season and you've got your Swainson's hawk nest and you're tracking that throughout the entire season, you're going to create a location name for that nest, and you're going to be able to run a report that will include everything pertaining to that particular nest that's been documented over the course of the field season. And that's a really easy thing to do right here by, sorry about that, by picking that particular location after it gets created. You can include some custom header text of 3 lines that'll appear in the top right of your actual final report. That will be up here. We just have a single line right now, but you could have 2 more lines there. And you can page break. I mean, it's just little things to kind of give it. This is all based
All
on
the things our customers have requested of us over the last 5 years that they need to customize have been pretty much added into the advanced settings. So
exactly.
if you're not happy with the output, take a look at the advanced settings, give Nancy a chat, and we can probably get it done.
Thank you for that. That's perfect. So the next report type is the photo log builder. Again, this is really customizable. You can choose which information is displayed to the right. So if you just need to run a photo report, this is a great tool. So this is an example of what it looks like. I've chosen the information that I want displayed to the right of the photos, and it's very fast to do. And again, if you track how much time you spend managing photos, I think you'll find that this will be a big time saver for you. In addition to that, we also have a higher level, which is something that we call a report builder. And the report builder allows you to literally build a report section by section.
So the report builder is actually based on the work we did for KitFox, where we needed a very particular formatted report to send to the CPUC, I think monthly, potentially, maybe weekly. But so it's really an amazing tool to bring in the data from an extended period of time in the project and summarize it, add some tables with some summary data and add your own narrative content along with the data pulled in, as well as the photos. So it's extremely powerful.
This is an example of the output of the report builder. So you can include your figures. You can include table data. Again, this is using tagging, and anything that you tag can get consolidated into a table. So it's a really fast way to get a view into your data so that you can write about what's happening. So this is, like I said, this is an example of what that output looks like. We also have something called a compliance checklist, and again, based on the tagging feature, for all of your different measures, we run a little algorithm and then report in whatever color you choose things that are not in compliance, and you have the opportunity to write a note about that. And you can adjust.
So that's a real interesting piece, because we'll actually go across the whole date range. And if you were one time not in compliance, we'll throw it as not in compliance. If the whole time you were in compliance, we'll throw it in as in compliance.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then follow along with photos if you want these to be included in your monthly report, for example, or if you don't want to do that and you want to append all of the dailies to your monthly report, you can also do that. So you can just click a little box that says add in the dailies for this date range, right? And then your dailies will follow on after that. So that's a really nice feature within the tool as well. And let's see, I want to check. I think that one can go away. And we talked about the filtered, talked about the GeoJSON. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about in the little bit of time that we have we're wrapped up here is a few added compliance features. I think those of you who are current customers know that we recently added in a higher level of mapping capability. Right now it's on iOS devices. So you can collect points, lines, and polygons with Wildnote now. You can also load into your project your GIS maps so that your people in the field have their boundary information with their different layers. And you would do that if you are a Wildnote user right now and you don't know this. I'll show you. It's under project setup info, where you would put in the ID of your Esri map. So it's under advanced settings, and it's at the very, very bottom down here. So this is where you would select user ArcGIS credentials, and you can put in a web map ID. Just ask your GIS person for the web map ID and pop it into here, or give them access to the system and they can do that. It can also include hosted layers as well. So, and a combination of those. So that's really a great additional feature that was really missing from our toolkit, I think, especially the ability to see the boundaries of where you're at. So that's a nice additional feature. We also have a concept of notifications in Wildnote, and I wanted to show what that looked like. Using the survey status concept, you can inform people in an email list of information that's been submitted based on status. So for example, I created an issue notification, and this is project managers could receive an email anytime that there was a survey submitted that had open issues. Or they could receive an email when a survey was submitted with the submitted status, which we do have customers who use that as well, just to alert them to, oh, my folks have all submitted their information today. So, and what that looks like is you receive an email that looks like this right here, Wildnote notification. And you can write the text. You have the ability to, write whatever text you want, and then you have the information, and then you can go right to that survey and see that information. So that's a nice feature in notifications. The other thing that I think is maybe not thought of, but could actually is something that I think you could put in your mind is that Wildnote can be used as a training tool for your new people, your new staff. So think about those projects where I think Amy's already left the call, but she brings on a lot of new young biologists, I know, and she wants them to know what species are the most common species that are going to be found when you start going out and doing monitoring or pre-construction surveys, those kinds of things. And so she can take them right into a project and go right to that species taxa gallery, and they can start studying those specific species because those are the things that are coming in. In addition to that, you can utilize the helper text like I showed before, where there's the little I. So on any question within a form, you can include information that's relevant to that. In addition to information on a specific question, if you have a list of items, for example, we're releasing a new update to our wetland platform where every indicator in the wetland form has a definition. So you can also define things within your lists for new users or to help you remember in the field, what certain things are. So you can really use this platform as a teaching tool and a way to, I think, in addition to that, it's a way to really not only organize your data, but also have your data be consistent. So that's really helpful, especially for new users who aren't quite sure what to say, how to say it, those kinds of things. So that's an additional way that you can use the platform. And we talked about this in our last webinar. We had a great webinar on resumes and submitting resumes to CDFW for getting your biologists permitted, allowed to work on projects. I don't think I'm saying that quite right now. But we've had some clever folks who have built resumes right in Wildnote, and they have all of their field people track everything that they do right within Wildnote. They export it into Excel, and then they can use that to build what they need to submit to the state. So there's just some clever and creative ways that are out of the box thinking that you can use this in the world of California construction compliance. Kristen, what else?
Let's see here. Let's see if there's any questions. Nope. Yeah, as we're wrapping up here, I don't think I can't think of anything else. If there's any questions,
I'll give some poll results. I can announce the poll results.
Yeah, do that.
We did one of them. So what types of compliance processes are your team performing? By and large, the largest is biological monitoring, 88%, cultural, 41%, paleo, 18, stormwater, 41, job walks, 18, and spill is 6. And let's see, I'm just move this over here. Then wetland delineations and biological surveys are the next biggest, 65% and 88%. A few doing CRAM, not too many. Most of our folks on the call are field staff today, 57%, which is great. And we have some short answers that I'm not going to be able to dig into those right.
That's fine. That's fine. I just think one of the things I wanted to say to the group that's left is we think there's a lot of busy work that has to occur in your profession, say matching up taxonomy metadata with what you've observed, or photo logs we know can be especially tedious trying to put those things together in Word. And all the reporting or the transcribing, I think, we can really boost your efficiency and the ability for you to do the work you signed up for, not the busy work, but the actual biology. So we think we're a wonderful solution for that. We are completely attached to your industry. We believe in what you're doing in terms of protecting our environment. and restoring our environment. And that's why we're here. You know, we built a tool that could be used for any kind of data collection, but we chose to focus on environmental data collection and reporting so that we could hopefully be a part of the solution of protecting our lovely California.
We love her so much. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Wonderful to see all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.